Welcome back, awesome Action Toy fans and subscribers. Since I posted a couple of videos on these three guys, these six guys, yesterday, the day before, been lots of views and some questions coming my way. Okay, so size comparison to Acid Rain, you can see that they are just a little bit shorter, but still perfect scale. Comparison to G.I. Joe. Well, I have a G.I. Joe here, but it's not open. If I hold it to the G.I. Joe, he is about 2 millimeters shorter. I'll move these guys out of the way and I will show you. These guys now have their armor glued on. I didn't glue on the forearm ones. But I'll talk about these guys again in a moment. And then I'm going to take one of these guys apart so you get a little breakdown of how they are put together as best I can. Okay, so feet and feet are level. They are about the same size. The head is slightly smaller on the JoyToy one here. But feet to feet, yeah, they're about the same size. Just the head is a touch smaller. But it does scale well. Okay, compared to a Zombie Labs, they will be much shorter because Zombie Labs generally are quite tall. She's just a tall girl who towers above him. Compared to a Marvel Universe Doc Ock, again he's quite tall. He does tower above. Compared to a Boss Fight Studios, let's take the Dragon Harvester. Again, she is a little bit taller than him. So they are a touch on the short side. And against a Hasbro versus Ryu. Again, he is a fair bit taller because he's quite a big figure as well. Don't think these are too short. They do scale very well with Acid Rain and G.I. Joe. Now, I'll come back to these guys in a moment. Okay, so ones with the armor. I took the time, took about 50 minutes, 45 minutes to glue the armor and so forth for all three. First one took a long time trying to figure out instructions, and they got a lot faster for the others. They do look good with their armor on. Now, it is worth noting I'm actually missing the backpack for this guy. I didn't get it in my box, so there may be some quality control issues there, but nothing wrong with everything else. Looks really good with his armor on. I do like this. It is nice. Now, having said that, with the armor on, it's not so good for playing. You're going to play because if you glue it with super glue, like I did, it will come off quite frequently, especially if you drop it. Also, it does impinge. It does limit the articulation in some of the joints sometimes as well, depending on if you follow the instructions exactly or not. If you follow exactly, it will impinge on the joints as well a little bit. But that does not take away from the aesthetic. They do look good. Okay, so let's look at a couple of things first. Let me take this guy here. I'll take his gun out of his hands. I'll unclip and take his vest off. Okay, his body armor. Head comes off. Okay. So here is our bog standard guy. Nothing else with him. Okay, so people ask me about head compatibility. So I'm going to take off a Universe Doc Ock head. Ryu has got a two-part head and neck. And his head came off. The neck part is secure, so I won't bother trying to force that. Let's look at a Boss Fight Studios. And Dream Concept should be the same. The Zombie Lab should be the same as Boss Fight Studios. Please don't break. Yeah, same as Boss Fight Studios, so there's no need to do that one. Okay, heads back in. Okay, and then the Acid Rain. I am going to use my teeth, excuse me, in this. That was really in quite stiff. And I took this neck piece out separately. Why? Because in these guys, their head and neck is separate too. So how compatible are they? So Acid Rain the neck piece will fit in, which means I can plop on Acid Rain World head. Woohoo! And the head looks a tad big on him, but it's still okay. I'll keep the Acid Rain neck in there. That means the Ryu head will fit on, but I'd have to do some work on the actual head hole to make it fit. But it looks a bit like Solid Snake there from Metal Gear Solid. But that's too loose. The Doc Ock head will fit on the Acid Rain hole, but it's way too big in terms of the hole, so it's way too loose. Okay, if I take out the Acid Rain neck peg, the peg here is bigger, but you want to look a bit funny. I don't know. So it won't fit so well. Boss Fight Studios will not fit in because they have a different system. You can't put a peg into a peg. And if I take this peg out the head, it'll be too low, and this peg is too big for this hole. Okay, so we've seen that, and I'll just quickly put these heads back on very, very quickly. And lastly, the Acid Rain. Let's pop this on again. And then pop this on here. And I'll do that one later. Okay. So, head comes off, neck and head comes off easily, and you can plop out the head there. Now this head, in fact, let me just try this with Acid Rain. It looks like it's going to be quite a good, there we go, that's a pretty decent fit for Acid Rain World. So now I've got a nice ungas masked head for my Acid Rain figure. That's actually a pretty much perfect fit. A little bit tight, but it's good. It does work. I'll take the other heads off. Doc Ock, we know will be too big already, but you could make a cast and fix that. Ryu would be not a bad fit, perhaps. Let's have a look. Not bad for Ryu, still a bit big. Take this gun down. But the good news is the interchangeability between the JoyToy and the Acid Rain is pretty much spot on. It's practically perfect. Okay, so head and neck come off. What else? Well, if you pull, his body will come apart, and you can see that he has a peg in this part which moves, or it's, which does move, he says, but mine's a bit stiff. Yeah, there we go, around inside the body, and we have the hole in the upper body. Also, you can take this part out, and so now it's just a body with a peg, and then you have a T-bar pegs here, and you can pop the legs off as well. There we go. So his crutch piece is this joint here. Then you have the actual crutch area, and you have the legs here. On the legs, there's a swivel in the thigh, and I think, yep, it just pops out. It does seem strikingly similar to some Acid Rain World stuff, which I'll look at in a minute. Feet. Okay, that pops out there. So you can swap the boots around if something's got a similar feel. And I believe it will pop out from the shoe at the bottom if I'd force it without breaking it. There, okay. So you can actually swap these shoes around with your other figures, and you can then get the toe articulation. And these are quite nice boots as well. Let's have a look. Did I break that? No, I didn't. Okay, so just a normal joint and a boot section on top. That is not going to be so easy to put back in. A quick check on there. Okay, so it's going to go that way in. Okay, easy enough for. Okay, and then looking at the knee joint, if you want to separate this, you'd have to prise those apart, maybe in some hot water first. to get open. There's no pins in the legs like you find in Marvel Universe figures like this. And you also find that same system in Boss Fight Studios, but not in these ones, and you don't find that system in Acid Rain. These are more similar to Acid Rain. Read into that what you will. Okay, so what next? Upper body, the arms. I'm not keen on pulling these out. The peg here is fixed, that's just molded in place. The arms, I don't want to pull out because they might have, they might be attached inside. May have to be splitting across the mold line there if we can get the arms out, but I'll have a quick pull. Now that ain't going anywhere. Now the hands do come off. They have a small joint and hands go like, oops, get it right, go like this either side. So if I wiggle the hands enough, there you go, I can get the hand off individually, and I can also take out the hand and the wrist if I want to. That's quite good, but it also means if you do it too many times, you can loosen it too much. Okay, now let's look at some other stuff. So these newer Acid Rain figures, the JoyToy newer ones, now this guy's still got all these stuff on, which I may have to take off. Their bodies come apart as well. So I'm going to see what the connectivity is going to be like on that. I'm not so keen on taking his stuff off and then having to put it back on again, but for the sake of you guys and giving information, I might do a bit of that or see if I can get around that. Okay. So I need to somehow figure out where his belt comes off if I'm going to get that off, or I can just pull. Okay, so his legs are off and that will all come off now. Okay. So, slightly different system. The Acid Rain, this is in one piece, where this is a separate piece with a separate body piece here. And this doesn't have a peg. Now, in theory, I could take out this peg, add into here, and then I can connect this to here. This will make him much taller with strange looking body maps. Let's have a look. That will not be too difficult to do if you've got some hot water and you're good at customizing. You could even make molds and casts of this and then put it in and do it yourself, which I've done previously when I was living in Malaysia. Now I live in China. Let me try and get this guy to stand up. So now I've just rested that on top. It's not actually fitted on. And you can see that doesn't look too shabby. If I put that next to one of his counterparts again, we'll get an idea of the size. You can see that the shoulder now is slightly higher. It's made him a little bit taller. So that's pretty good. Now this also begs the question, what about the other way around? Well, we look at the Acid Rain, that finishes on a hole. If we look at the JoyToy one here, it finishes on a peg. So you cannot have a peg to peg. Now what you can do is if you take the peg out, which will be a hot water treatment, I don't think that will pop using my teeth. Let's try. Oh, easier said than done. Let's see if this will fit in here. It looks to be slightly different size. Yeah, you can fit it on and it gets like a nice sort of 6-pack underneath, but it's not tight. You'd have to do some little bit of work. Maybe Dremel this or drill it a little bit deeper. Then you want to put some PVA glue around the hole, which makes a nice rubbery fit when it dries, and that would fit quite nicely. Okay, now let's have a quick look at this peg as well, because if I look at the Boss Fight Studios, okay, Will this now fit into this? Let's see. No, the size is too different. Even if I take the armor off, there'd be too much work to do to fit that into there, especially for a video like this. Okay, so we can see that they are actually really good for customization. They'll mix with your Acid Rain figures very well. You can mix with your Boss Fight Studios with a bit of work. With your Marvel Universe and the smaller scale Marvel Legends, you need a lot more work again, maybe as well. I do like this. If you guys are into the Acid Rain stuff, it's pretty good. Also, let's have a look at the Acid Rain legs because they pivot and come off. And let's have a look. So, the hole is slightly bigger on the JoyToy. So it won't really fit on so well. It'll make an Acid Rain figure a lot shorter too. You just put his boot into there now. There's still another thing to try on this. If I did it like this, suddenly he develops a limp because one leg is shorter than the other. Okay. Now maybe this will even up if I put this back in. Now if I can take off this part from the Acid Rain, which does come off, we can see the hole and the peg here as pushes in a bit firmer. Now there are different sizes, so it won't be secure, and again the leg will be slightly shorter, which means he will lean if I have one leg and one leg. Or I can change both legs and go for the JoyToy legs on the Acid Rain figure, which some of you may prefer for the Amangas because their feet are ratcheted and don't have a neutral flat position. Is either like this or like this. So to pose him, you have to be a bit more dynamic in your posing. So we know that these can attach here. That'll just need, again, personally what I would do is I would make a copy of this part here, and once I've copied it, I would just PVA glue around the edges here and let it dry, build up the layers until it fits in nice and snugly and still has the articulation. If you're not sure what I mean by PVA gluing the layers, I've got a video on making heads fit necks. So if your the head's got a bigger hole than the neck, I've got a video on that somewhere around in my videos, and it shows you how that is done. But there is a lot of possibilities with these figures. Now these figures are relatively cheap for 118 compared to some of the other stuff around it. Now they're not quite as good quality, but don't let that stop you. They are lovely, lovely stuff. I do like them a lot. Start reassembling some stuff while I'm talking. So they're quite easy to take apart. The only thing I'm not sure about is the arms here. I don't want to break anything by trying to force that. So if you look very, quite not easy to see in this color, and I'm not even sure it goes all the way. There appears to be a mold line in the shoulders. I don't know if you can see it on here. Might focus enough maybe. But not on the rest. So maybe it's up just the top and then these are pushed in. I don't want to force these out because I tell a lie, they come out. Okay, even better news. That means these guys are a customizer's wet dream. You can swap around, change things at will. You could make your own figure just by copying and molding parts and putting them all together in a different fashion. Just the joints you have to source you get from eBay or somewhere else. This is really quite impressive stuff. In fact, I'm surprised that companies haven't done a build your own. Now, Boss Fight Studios, do their blank figures and you can, paint them and do what you want to them. But these ones are literally just, you can put together and take apart as you so desire, which is really, really quite nice. I am liking these more and more now, so I do like to customize my figures sometimes. Now, bear in mind, if you do make copies and build your own figure, that you will not get the same effect because this is a little bit rubbery. And so if you're doing it in resin, it will not be quite the same trying to push it in and get that same secure fit. So you may want to use the PVA glue trick or some other method if you're going to do that. But again, I am really impressed of how easy these are to take apart and put back together, and the compatibility with acid rain weld does make it really good for customizers. So it's getting back to there. Okay, so we look at the pant section. There is a groove in the bottom where the middle part here will fit. That will snap in, but it's not easy to snap, or not so snap, it's just more of a rest, sorry. Once you've got that, you need to get your thighs in place, and then the thighs, once they're both in, will keep that in place. Okay, let's get his lower section done, and then I need to pop in this section again. I was wondering what was missing. Which way around is it? Let's have a look. Oh, that ran away. So I think it's the big section in the bottom. That was easier than I thought it would be. And then, there we go. And he's all back together. Guys, if you're into customization, your figures, your 118s, fantastic. If you're not, this is a really easy way to start. Because they're, excuse me, so easy to take apart and put back together, and you can interchange parts with each other. If you like these cyborg arms like I do, you can just pop them out and you can plop them into figures if they've got holes in already, really quite easily. These guys I can see being big winners, especially us customizers. Who customizers get hold of them, you can just do what you want. Fantastic stuff. Well done, JoyToy, on making customizer friendly figures. I can see this being a big market, a big aftermarket maybe too, and with their releases looking so cool, the differences in the sculpts and the heads, the different arms, different armor pieces and so forth, you know, it's going to be really good, the amount of variety you can get in your figures. It's a shame it's not quite as compatible with some of the Boss Fight Studio stuff, but let's have a look. I can take, and I'm going to do some more when I'm talking. I'll take out a Boss Fight Studio arm and let me see if I can popping this on. Right, the pegs are vastly different in size. The Boss Fight Studios is thin, you see that, and the JoyToy one is much thicker. So you can't swap the arms directly. You'd have to cut down the peg, or you'd have to build up the peg, or make a copy, or find another solution if you can do that. These guys are great. Unfortunately, all my customization stuff is in Malaysia, and I'm living in China. But eventually, in about 400 years, and I'm a little bit older, I'll be hopefully moving back to Malaysia and have access to all my stuff, and I'll start doing 400 million conversions and customizations and blah blah blah. Okay, so these are the JoyToy figures, how you take them apart, some information, how they're compatible with acid rain. I didn't check a G.I. Joes, I don't have any open Joes here. I've only got a couple and they're both closed. I'm not going to open them for the time being. I hope you enjoyed the video. Any more requests, just put them in the comments and I'll see if I can help out. I hope you enjoyed it. Please like, share and subscribe. I'll be back soon with more awesome action videos for you. Stay happy, keep collecting, okay? Bye-bye.